Hello and welcome. Welcome to Everything is Energy and welcome to the Aries new moon, which is exact on April 17th, 2026 at 4:51 a.m. Pacific time. This is a moon of ignition, truth, and the emergence of new identity. And this new moon arrives, as I mentioned, early in the morning on April 17th. And, as with all new moons, the sun and the moon are conjunct. They are meeting at the anaretic degree of Aries, 27 degrees of Aries. And Aries is cardinal masculine fire ruled by Mars. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And if you've listened to the past few podcasts, we've had Aries energy afoot of late. And while a new moon always marks a beginning, a moment when something is seeded, it's worth considering that this particular new moon is not necessarily a quiet beginning. And this is because this new moon is in Aries. Aries is the sign of initiation, courage, and identity. And it's surrounded by an extraordinary concentration of planetary energy. And I offer just at the top of this podcast that the chart for this new moon is a chart of ignition. It's a chart of activation. And it's a chart that asks us not just to reflect, but to begin. And before we get into the new moon itself, I want to offer some context of what we are moving toward. And, I briefly want to name two larger movements that are unfolding in the background. Both of these things I will have a separate podcast for, but it's worth just taking note right now that this energy is surrounding us. We're preparing first for Uranus, excuse me, Uranus to shift out of Taurus and into Gemini on April 26th. That's just over a week away from this new moon. And this marks the final outer planet to change signs in this vast transformational cycle that we are steeped in right now. We had Pluto enter into Aquarius November last year. We also had Neptune and Saturn. They entered into Aries just a little bit ago. And, now we have Uranus shifting out of Taurus and into Gemini. And, Uranus is the planet of awakening. Uranus, as I like to say, reminds us that we are the high technology that we seek. We have everything that we need within us. Our consciousness is so powerful. But Uranus is not just the planet of awakening, of those types of awakening. It's also the lightning bolt of change and disruption and innovation. And by disruption, I don't mean anything negative. I mean that, Uranus breaks patterns. It liberates. It electrifies the nervous system. And in Taurus, where Uranus has been for several years, that awakening has been focused on the body, on resources, and on the material world. But as Uranus moves into Gemini, this awakening shifts into the realm of the mind, into the realm of communication, information, learning, and networks. Gemini is the sign of the twins. Gemini is mutable, masculine air. It's ruled by the communication planet itself, Mercury. And I like to think of the twins as the people in the get together or the party that sincerely want to talk to everybody in the room. They don't just want to stay in their neat little clique where they can feel safe and say the same things to each other. Gemini wants to know what it's like to walk in everybody's shoes. And so, this is a period where our thoughts themselves become revolutionary. The way we see the world, the way we see ourselves as powerful, potentially creators within this world. And that's a whole podcast, so I'll stop there. But that's forthcoming. And, at the same time, before I get to this new moon, we also have Uranus is right now moving, and it has been moving, and I've mentioned this before, towards an exact conjunction with Sedna. This will perfect itself on May 24th, but it's definitely in the air right now. And Sedna is the Inuit goddess, the deep oceanic goddess that represents, what has been buried and betrayed and what has descended into the depths. And also what is all of that is very fertile ground for birthing. She births all the animals in the sea that the Inuit people use to survive. She is a goddess of abundance. Despite her story about her father, or the male influence or the patriarchal influence abusing her and cutting off her fingers and her arms, and she drowns, but yet she persists and her energy cannot be thwarted. So when Uranus meets Sedna, an awakening occurs at profound depths. And I'll just kind of close this light overview that this is not surface level insight. This is something ancient rising. And the new moon sits right now, right at the threshold of this shift. So let's get to it. The new moon at 27 degrees of Aries. The sun and the moon are both at 27 degrees of Aries. Aries, as I mentioned, is the first sign of the zodiac. And, it represents action, but I want us to maybe, it can get a little bit of a bad rap because it's ruled by Mars, and Mars energy can be in its shadow form a little bit right now. But, Aries also represents the spark of life. It's the moment of emergence. And the energy of Aries symbolizes the willingness, the need, the desire, that innate desire to exist as oneself, personal truth. But it's worth noting that 27 degrees, as I mentioned, is not early Aries. It's considered an anaretic degree. It's one of the last signs of the sign. And here it's more mature. It's more developed expression of fire. This is not the beginning of courage. This is courage that has already been tested. And this new moon asks, what am I ready to step into now? With full awareness of who I am. Therein lies that connection to personal truth. And as I mentioned, this willingness to exist as we are in who we are, and to revel and experience the beauty and the empowerment of that truth. That's what's afoot with Aries right now. And, we also have, the new moon tightly conjunct Chiron and Eris, both at 26 degrees of Aries. So if the sun and moon are at 27, the sun and moon are both conjunct Chiron and Eris. And this, I would offer, is one of the more significant features of this chart. Chiron, the wounded healer. It represents our potentially deeply personal wound, but most importantly, it represents the place where healing, being willing to address that pain or that sadness or that hollowness or that fear. When we sit with the truth of what is, that place is the place where healing becomes wisdom. Healing becomes power. Healing becomes something a gift that we can bring to the world. In the myth, Chiron was a healer who could heal others but not himself. And so he acquired all these amazing different healing modalities, and he taught them to people around the world. And he represents this paradox of being both wounded and wise. And Eris, I've shared her myth several times. Eris represents disruption. She is the one who is excluded at the wedding of the gods in Mount Olympus. And in response, she exposed truth by throwing the golden apple into the party and saying to the fairest and causing this squabble that caused the Trojan War. She exposed the truth of ego and arrogance. And this is interesting that both of these guys are together conjoining this new moon. And so these two, Chiron and Eris, they potentially bring up wounds around our identity. And I just mentioned how important Aries is inviting us to shine light and love on our identity. So as we're seeking to shine light and love on ourselves, Chiron and Eris are really inviting us also to sit with the question of where have I been unseen or excluded? Where have I felt that I could not simply and fully be myself? And this new moon is not beginning from a blank slate. It's beginning from truth. It's beginning from what has already been felt, what has already been lived, what has already been revealed. And so the seeds that we are planting are not simply seeds about personal expression, they're about healing and loving and embracing all the aspects of who we are. And we also have, not only Chiron and Eris and Sun and the Moon, we have a powerful concentration of planets in Aries yet again. There's been a lot of Aries energy in the cosmos recently. And so we have a stellium. We have the Sun, Moon, Chiron, and Eris, as I mentioned, but we also have Saturn conjunct Mars and Mercury conjunct Neptune. That's eight. That's eight cosmic celestial bodies. And this creates a field of, I would offer the word potentially intense activation. And I don't mean intense in a bad way, but maybe just in a palpable way. And, while Aries energy is about movement, it's about action. With Saturn and Neptune present at the early degrees of Aries, we know that Saturn and Neptune were recently just conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries, and they're at the early degrees. So this is not reckless movement, is what I would offer. With Saturn and Neptune present in Aries, this is conscious action emerging from our inner vision. And let's sit with that for a moment because this gets to the theme that I was alluding to in the weekly forecast for last week, which is this idea of taking action under Aries energy, but to do so with discernment and to do so to act without being reactionary, to speak our truth without seeking to harm or even address anyone else. If what we need to do is speak our truth, what the response is actually matters less than the action of speaking our truth. And if we really steep ourselves in that we are the broadcasting mechanism here, that our thoughts and our emotions about our world and ourselves is the message that we're sending out, then it really does bear to be worthy to sit with for some time that what if our personal truth and the expression of our truth is all that is needed? What if we don't need to have everyone on the bandwagon come along and say, yay, hooray for you? It doesn't mean that we won't receive approval and we won't receive love, because we will. But what I'm saying is there's this need right now, especially with Chiron and Eris active, that we're not simply acting for others, that our truth, our soul's truth, what we know deep inside, that is what we need to say because and express because that is who we are. And it's not about a response. It's about that willingness to be in and be with and express who we are. And now we also have, I mentioned, Saturn conjunct Mars in early Aries. And Mars recently just dipped into Aries, and Mars represents action. Mars rules Aries, and it's the pure drive, to move forward. Saturn represents discipline and structure and limitation. And, it's interesting to note that, Mercury is conjunct Neptune and Saturn is conjunct Mars, that Saturn and Neptune are not now conjunct each other because they've moved apart a little bit. But let me just bring the Saturn conjunct Mars to a more poignant conclusion. When these guys come together, this is about focused action. As I mentioned, this is not impulsive, this is not reactionary, it's not scattered, it's directed. And this is ability to act with intention to build something real. And so we're invited with this new moon to take the fire of Aries and to begin to give something in our world form. And we also have Mercury conjunct Neptune in early Aries. They're just a couple degrees apart. But, Mercury is the mind. Mercury is our mental body. It's how we think, it's how we communicate. It's also how we process information. And if Neptune is the planet of illusion and delusion, it's also the planet of dreams and intuition. And I mentioned before that Neptune dissolves boundaries. And when Mercury meets Neptune, it helps the mental space become porous. And if we think about in mercurial fashion what it means for our mind to become porous, I would offer this means it becomes imaginative, becomes intuitive. And in Aries, this translates to things like intuitive ideas that want to move into action. So this can be visionary, but it's also worth grounding this energy because if we are untethered, this can be a little bit confusing. So here, the invitation is to trust our intuition and to move with awareness. There's a theme here that keeps raising itself with Aries energy. Action that is oriented from information that we hold to be true within us. This is not reactionary. This is measured. It's courageous. It can be bold. It can be silent, but it's about being in alignment with our truth. And next, I want to move into Uranus, Sedna, Algol, Venus, and Taurus, because this is the the other and potentially very potent configuration. This is energy in Taurus, and Uranus is conjunct Sedna, as I already spoke of a little bit earlier. And they're both closely aligned and they're conjunct with Algol, while Venus is also in the Taurus field. So Algol is the blinking third eye of Medusa. And it has long been seen as a point of truth and intensity. But at some level, it's worth noting that Medusa has in the past represented the I'm going to use this word, and I don't really mean it in the way that we often think about it, but it's what's coming to mind, the demonization of particularly feminine power. And I don't mean demonization, I just mean um, the the way that we've been told the shadow story, maybe not the whole story. And if Medusa is not simply the snake-haired woman who turns men to stone, but instead the beautiful goddess who was raped in Athena's temple, whose hair was turned to stones to protect her, and she was able to see truth and turned men to stone when they were not speaking truth. That is a very different energy. And part of that myth, if you interpret it in the uh, way that is open to feminine power, is that Medusa gave her head to Athena to put on her shield so that Athena would be protected. Take it or leave it. But also, it's not just Medusa and Algol here. We have Sedna conjunct Uranus, and Sedna represents deep emotional and collective memory, while Uranus is representing awakening. Is that lightning bolt, that flash of the aha of being able to connect the dots. And having Venus in Taurus, this really just brings values and harmony and justice and relationships and attraction. And all these things together, this suggests a profound awakening around what we value and also around what we have been taught to fear, around what has been suppressed. And so this configuration suggests that this is not surface level change. This is deeply embodied transformation, and it's worth spending some time, and we'll get to it in meditation, being with that energy because it is profound. And beyond all this, it's still, we need to note that we still have that minor triangle of all the outer planets that are changing signs. They're trining and sextiling each other, and they are very supportive aspects. Neptune sextiling Uranus, this is suggesting that our awakening is indeed being guided by our intuition, and that the innovation that we are seeking is one that is aligned with deeper spiritual currents. And this aspect suggests that this is not chaotic disruption, this is guided evolution. We also have Neptile sextiling Pluto, and Pluto is conjunct Juno. And, Pluto represents transformation. Juno represents commitment to sacred partnership. And in Aquarius, this speaks to the transformation of how we relate, not just individually, but collectively. And Neptune adds this layer of spiritual vision. It suggests that relationships and agreements are being reimagined. Pluto represents deep transformation, and Juno represents commitment to sacred partnership. In Aquarius, this speaks to the transformation of how we relate. And this is important. This is not just individually, this is collectively. And Neptune, sextiling Pluto, adds a layer of spiritual vision. So this really suggests that relationships and agreements are being reimagined. And finally, we have Uranus trining, Uranus and Pluto in a trine, excuse me. And this is, in my humble opinion, one of the more powerful background aspects. Y'all know that I love Pluto and I love subtle energy, but Uranus is the lightning bolt of awakening and Pluto is transformation. And together in a trine, which is just such a harmonious flow of energy, they can create unstoppable change. And this is lays the ground potentially for evolution that cannot be reversed. This is the future emerging. So this new moon is not subtle. It's asking for alignment, alignment with truth, alignment with identity, alignment with what is ready to begin. And there is also deep healing here. There is disruption and awakening here. There is also tremendous support. This is not chaos. This is ignition with purpose. So before we move into the meditation, I want to share a quick invitation. If you've been feeling called to deepen your understanding of astrology, I'm opening enrollment for my upcoming Astrology 101 course. It's a 6-week live experience designed to help you build a grounded and intuitive relationship with your birth chart, and honestly, with any and every birth chart that you read. You can join my email list. I'll put a link in the notes to receive a special discount and to be the first to access the details for this course. All right, so let's go ahead and get to a meditation. Begin by finding a place or space where you won't be disturbed for the next little bit of time. Some place that you can close your eyes if you feel so inclined, and somewhere where your body feels comfortable. You can sit or you can lie. Let your spine be straight. Let your shoulders be over your hips. And just allow your body to settle. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath deepen. And just go ahead and take a slow inhale through the nose and a long exhale through the mouth. Again, breathing in through the nose, taking your time, taking a little bit more time, perhaps, on the inhale. Coming present as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Take even a little bit more time on the exhale than you did on the inhale, and let that breath be a release. Let's do that 2 more times together. Breathing in, slow, easy, deeper breath in through the nose. Coming here and now. And as you release the breath, exhale through the mouth. And just staying here, easy, deeper breath in through the nose. Longer, slower release through the mouth. And now moving from the head and the shoulders as we're relaxing those, come down into your chest and your ribs and your belly, and let any tension that you're holding in your torso soften. And then moving down into your hips, into your low belly, into your thighs and your legs, relaxing and softening. And as you bring your awareness down into your body, feel the weight of yourself being supported, supported by whatever you're seated or lying on, supported by the ground beneath you. And just imagine roots extending down into the earth. And as you spread your roots down and out, feel the steadiness beneath you. And while this new moon is in Aries, Aries is fire and it moves quickly and it activates. Feel as you're connecting to the soil that you are fully supported as you begin. And just a few more moments here, maybe even a few more breaths, breathing in, send your awareness down. Breathing out, releasing any tension, and just feel yourself fully seen, fully supported, fully nourished by the earth, the ground directly beneath you. And now bring your awareness to the center of your chest, to your heart center, and just imagine a small flame there or an orb of light. And as you connect to that flame or light, notice the quality that is present. This is your life force. This is your identity. And just notice how the flame dances, the color of it, or if it's an orb, notice just the quality, as I mentioned, of the energy. This is your spark. This is also the energy of Aries. But this is not the loud external version. This is the quiet inner knowing. And as you connect to your heart, feel that you exist. I exist. And see if you can connect to the truth that I am here. And also the truth that I have the right to be. And notice how the flame responds to that knowing, that understanding. Let the flame glow and respond gently, and just know that there is no rush. Now, still staying connected to your heart, also allow yourself to become aware of the fullness that is you, all of your physical body and all of your aura, your energetic field. And just allow yourself to become aware of any place within you that is potentially felt held back, or any place where you have felt unseen, or any place where you have softened yourself simply to belong. And we're not analyzing here, we're just observing, we're just noticing. And I mentioned earlier that this new moon sits with Chiron and Eris, which means it begins from truth, not perfection and not performance. Truth. And if it feels comfortable for you, you can say silently or aloud to yourself, I am willing to see myself clearly. I am willing to see myself clearly. I am willing to begin from where I truly am. Feel the power in that. I am willing to begin from where I truly am. The power of that acceptance. And now connect again to that flame or light in your heart and potentially feel it, imagine it growing slightly brighter, slightly bigger, not overwhelming, not explosive, but steady in response to your intention. And feel how this is not reckless action, this is aligned action. This is both Saturn and Mars working together in disciplined fire. And as this new moon brings this energy of Aries, as well as Mars and Saturn, this disciplined fire, feel that this is intentional action. This is intentional movement. And potentially ask yourself gently, what is one step that I am ready to take? And as we take these steps, it's important to remember this is not the whole path. This is not for us to have the entire plan. This is just the next step. And see if you can just simply allow the answer to arise from your heart. And now allow your awareness to soften as if make sure your eyes are closed, but your intention is going to the periphery. Your attention is going to the 360-degree surround of you. And bring your awareness to your aura, to your physical body, and to your body taking its breath. Experience that breath once again as you breathe in. Feel the air enter your nostrils. And as you breathe out through your mouth, feel the air exiting your body. And feel how simple and sacred and powerful the breath is. And now we also have with this new moon a conjunction with Mercury and Neptune. And this reminds us that not all guidance is logical or linear. Some of it is felt. Some of this intuition is quiet intuition. And some of our knowing just simply arises and arrives as what we experience to be true. And see if you can keep your heart open and just deepen and broaden your ability to trust yourself. And silently repeat, if it resonates to you within you, I trust what I feel. I trust what I feel. I trust what is emerging. I trust what is emerging. Wonderful. And now, still with your awareness in your entire energetic field and connected to your physical body, but connected to your aura. Feel your body, but feel the space around you that is still inhabited by you. Still experiencing your breath, easy breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you sit here silently with your breath, see if you can feel the balance between grounding. Your roots are sunk deeply into the soil and movement that is invited during this new moon. And see if you can feel that there is this sacred balance. There's this notion that both are necessary. See if you can feel that there is, in this moment, a quality of stillness as well as a quality of readiness. This is threshold. We've been moving slowly through an awakening, a rebirthing, and we're still very much in that time. We're only just beginning, as if a toddler is learning how to walk, or a young child is learning how to even get on the bike with the training wheels. We're not expecting ourselves to rush out of the gates here, but we are inviting inspired action at this juncture, individually and collectively on our planet. And see if you can just receive that knowing, that wisdom, that it doesn't all need to be sorted and figured out right now. And it doesn't need to be rushed. But there is this opening of space at this juncture in this sort of elongated threshold of 2026 for us to begin to take aligned action. Go ahead and take one more deep breath. Breathe in through your nose and just let that breath fill your chest and fill your lungs. And as you exhale, release the breath slowly through the mouth. And when you are ready, just gently open your eyes. And as you are here, looking around the space and place that you are seated or lying, see if you can receive and intend to take with you this notion that you do not need to do everything, that you only need to begin. Wonderful. Thank you all for joining me. I'm grateful to the thousands and thousands of people in the hundreds of countries around the world. We are collectively seeding light. And I hope that you have a blessed new moon. As I mentioned, if you've been feeling called to deepen your understanding of astrology, that I'm going to be opening enrollment for my upcoming Astrology 101 course. It's a 6-week course. And it's helped to designed to help you build a grounded, intuitive relationship with your birth chart and all astrology charts. And just I put a link to my email list because I like to offer a discount to folks who are on my email list. So if you're at all interested, go ahead and make sure you're on my email list and have a blessed new moon, have a blessed lunar cycle. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Take care.